Welcome to Yoga 77. My name is Jackie and I think we're being joined by Orbit today. So we're going to move through a very short flow with a focus on hip and hip opening. So just start in a seated position, just whatever's comfortable to you. You might be cross-legged or kneeling or legs in front. And just starting to just notice how you've arrived today for your practice. Just observing your breath. And scanning through your body. Noticing any purring. And then if it's available to you today, the invitation is to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. You might choose to keep your eyes open or bring in a soft gaze and just take another 3 to 5 breath rounds here. Then if it feels right, just taking the weight into your hands behind you and bring your feet in front. And bring the feet maybe a little wider. And then just come into your windscreen wipers, taking the legs one side to the other. Just opening up through the hips, just noticing any differences side to side, one hip to the other, working a little bit through the hip socket. Almost a sense of rinsing out or smoothing out. Nice. And just take a few more of those. If those are working for you, you might allow your knees to come down a little bit further or keep it small. And then as you're ready, we're going to come into our tabletop position. And so just bringing the hands under the shoulders and spreading your fingers out nice and wide so that you've got a nice supportive base under your hands, also under the tops of your feet. You might even just peek back and check that the feet are somewhat even, somewhat parallel, in line with the knees, in line with the hips. Nice, and then just draw hands back to your legs, legs to the hands, noticing a light activation. And then from this tabletop position, just feel free to take any movement through the spine, taking the hips one way and then the other. You might take that into your cat-cow, starting to lower the belly towards the ground and then lifting up through the spine. Nice, and then as you're ready, no hurry at all. Just coming back into stillness and tucking the toes under, and then you're just going to lift the hips towards the ceiling. Again, take some movement here. You might just be bending through one leg and then the other. And starting to draw each heel down towards your mat. Noticing that length you're creating through the spine. You might bring your hands a little wider, you might widen the feet. And then as you're ready, it might be your exhale, drawing forward, knees come down wide, draw your hips back towards your heels, child's pose. Again, you might take some movement here, almost a swaying motion through the hips. Again, noticing that space through the hips, noticing any differences side to side. And then as you're ready, coming back to stillness. And again, it might be your inhale, drawing forward into tabletop, tucking toes, hips high, downward facing dog. And then start to ground down with the right foot, maybe the heel towards your mat, and then lifting your left leg. Come into your three-legged dog. and drawing that leg high, and then you're going to scoop that leg under with control, bringing your knee towards your belly, knee towards the nose, and then your foot's going to come between your hands. Now if it doesn't quite get there, just bring your hand under, give it a helping hand, lower the back knee. And then notice that opening as you come into your low lunge through that front hip flexor. And then you can either rise up with hands on your leg, one hand, two hands, or you might be floating your arms up above your head. Option to take the gaze up or not. You can keep the gaze straight ahead. Just noticing again that length that you're creating through that, the front of the back leg, through the hip flexor. And then just take a little lean over to your right. So coming into an extension. So you might bring the left hand up overhead. You might reach down with the right hand, or you might prefer to keep that hand on your leg. It might be your inhale, coming back through center, and then frame that front foot, push off with the back knee, and then your front foot is going to go back and high, three-legged dog. Again, it's a scoop under the body. This time, bring your shin near your hands. Again, do what you need to do to get yourself there. Option here is to keep the back leg straight in your swan pose. If that isn't working for you, the other option is to bend the back leg and come into your deer pose. So finding the length through the spine, either with bent back leg or the straight back leg. And then from here we're going to extend forward. Now you might come down onto your forearms, you might reach the arms out long and bring the head right down to your mat. And we're going to be staying here for another 3 to 5 breath rounds. Just notice if you can bring a softness into your shoulders, into your jaw, taking the time to bring your focus, your awareness back to your breath. And then as you're ready, you're going to tuck your back toes under, spread your fingers wide as you lift up, and then taking that front leg back to your downward facing dog. So lifting hips towards the ceiling. Again, the knees can be bent. You might be working them towards straight. We'll take that on the second side. So this time grounding down with your left foot. And then lifting the right foot, right heel up towards the ceiling. Again, it's a scooping under, so doming through the spine, making space for that foot. Bring the foot between the hands, helping hand if you need to. Lower the back knee. And then really notice that length through the front of your back leg. So in your low lunge, you could stay here. You might even bring blocks or books in under the hands or rising up. Again, you might have hands on your leg or one hand. You might reach one or two arms up towards the ceiling. Again, your gaze can be down or up. Just really noticing what is giving you length through the spine, and notice the extension through that back hip flexor. Again, we're going to be taking an extension to the side. So option again is to bring one hand down to the thigh, reaching over with your right arm, and it might just be a little bit. Other option is to bring the left hand down towards the floor, just bringing a little bit more reach, a little bit more balance, and then come back through center. And then frame your front foot. Front foot is going to step back. You can either stay in down dog or keep that leg lifting up into three-legged. Again, scooping under. Bring the shin up near your hands. Again, setting up for your swan pose. So you're looking to see the back leg is straight. You can always have a little peek back there. Option again, instead of your straight back leg, is to bring it so it is in your deer pose, or 90-90, finding length, almost a lifting up from your sit bones to the crown of the head, and then shining your heart space, your chest forward, extending, reaching, noticing that length. Again, you might be on your forearms. You can even bring your hands in under the forehead, resting your head on your fists, maybe on the backs of your hands. And again, we'll just stay here for another 3 to 5 breath rounds. Again, once your breath rounds are complete, you're going to rise up, spread your fingers wide, tucking the back toes under, and then that front foot is going to come back and arrive in your downward facing dog. Again, just feel free to take any movement here, walking out your dog, one heel at a time down towards your mat, noticing the length through the spine, lifting the hips a little higher. Almost like you're drawing your belly back towards your thighs. And then it might be your exhale, drawing forward towards tabletop, lowering the knees down. Might make your knees a little wider before drawing the heels back towards your hips into child's pose. Again, you might take some movement here, rocking side to side, or you might prefer to come into stillness. And then in your own time, rising back up to tabletop, just coming down onto your back and lowering yourself back down to your mat. You might bring legs in towards your belly. Again, those little rocks side to side, maybe circling out, bringing hands to your knees, circling one way and then the other. Or you might prefer to take these circles in opposite directions, so bringing the knees apart, the legs apart, opening more into the hip sockets, especially after just doing that hip opening flow. Just noticing again any differences side to side. Nice. And then as you're ready, finding your final resting pose. And so it might be legs extended long. Always feel free to bend the legs if that works better for you. Just taking any side to side movement with your head, rocking side to side. And then just coming into stillness, your final resting position. And as always, you're very, very welcome to stay here as long as your time allows for your Shavasana. Again, thank you so much for practicing with me today. Have a beautiful rest of your day or your evening. Go well. Namaste. Are you orbit?